Today's ADHD friend is Terri Shubilla, and Terri has been a part of this podcast for a long, long time. And she has also been one of the most incredible friends to so many other people that have been on this podcast also. Please give a warm welcome to Terri Shubilla. This is the 102nd episode of this podcast, and I wouldn't have made it through 50 without you. And if you didn't agree to come on to this podcast like years ago, there's not a fucking chance in hell this happens, like at all. And one of the main reasons for that is, so I was asking, how can we name our Friday night get-togethers? Within 5 seconds, you were like, "Oh, ADHD with benefits, done." I'm like, the fuck? Like, that's like the most brilliant fucking thing ever. And that morphed into what is arguably like the most important thing that we do is those.
Just get together and talk and
exactly.
Hang out.
It's only fitting that you help me close this out. And this is a change from what I would usually ask. But can you pinpoint your biggest ADHD weakness?
Yeah, whatever it is, like when your mind just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes.
Yeah.
Like the mental hyperactivity, for sure. Talking about like my mind's ability to create the overwhelm and like
Gotcha.
overthinking and just, you have a decision to make and it's not just a this or that, it's this one and then it's a domino effect. And then what if it leads this way? And then what if it leads that way? And, like the analysis paralysis or whatever. So like being able to see a bunch of different options is awesome. But when it kind of stops you and halts you from taking action, that's definitely a weakness.
Like it basically makes you numb when you get into that mindset of, I can't decide what to do. It's either two good things, two bad things, a good thing and a bad thing. What do? Like you just stop.
Right. And then you are basically making a decision by not making a decision, and it's none of the options that you wanted to choose.
Right. Okay. That is,
or like you do make the decision, you do whatever, but then like you have this anxiety going on of like, oh God, well, what if this, or like, what if I should have done the other thing? And, as if there's some prescribed, this is what you were supposed to do. And if you don't figure it out, like life is a fucking corn maze or whatever. And it's like,
right.
Oh, well, if you make the wrong turn, then like, that's what at the end of your life, like someone's gonna be like, yeah, you done fucked up too many times. I don't think it really goes that way.
Yeah, I think we all have. But it's interesting you say that, because I've said this to each person in the final, one-on-one episodes for a while, is it's always this thing where, and even the previous people that I've spoken with that are not, the final six or whatnot, have said, I'm really struggling. And then they follow it up with either but or and. They say, but I am trying, or but I have gone back to counseling, or and I'm successful because, like, there's never that full sentence of like, I suck, period. I fucked up, but, or I fucked up and, or this is really hard, but.
That's a good point.
It's interesting. Almost every single person I've spoken with throughout the 2 years never stops the sentence with, I'm really struggling with this. And then they stop.
Huh.
It's, I'm really struggling, but, or I'm really struggling and, which I think is remarkable, because I don't think a lot of neurotypicals can do that. I think it is set in stone as to like, I fucked up. That's it. And then they sit there.
Whereas, I don't even know if they admit that they fucked up on anything, or if they're struggling. It's just the whatever comes after the and or the but. It's just, everything's perfect.
Exactly.
They did it this way that it's supposed to be.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes them not as exciting. as people that have neurodivergent qualities is because RJ said it, we're always looking for that 2% chance, and that we tend to dwell on what could happen instead of the logic. And
yeah, exactly.
that hurts us a shit ton. But it could also be the most powerful advantage of all time, because 2% of the world are the world's most successful people.
Yeah.
It's just,
I'm waiting for that fucking ADHD part of me to kick in.
Me too. Me too. It's only been 40 years. So that segues perfect into the next question. Can you pinpoint your biggest ADHD strength or your personal strength? As a human with or without ADHD, it's just your biggest strength.
Okay. I mean, I know my biggest strength is my heart. I don't know if that's an ADHD strength trait, whatever. I mean, it could definitely get me down on myself a lot and go through things that hurt because of how big my heart is, but it is 100% my biggest strength, my caring and my love and just ability to accept people for who they are and encourage them for whatever they are trying to accomplish or in growing, or just validate them and accept them and love them. And
Lowell Spark has started a fundraising effort for Crisis Text Line. We have a goal of $19 per episode, as $19 supports one person in their time of absolute crisis with their mental health. If you would like to donate through our fundraiser titled Lauren's Infinity, the link is listed in the episode's description. Lauren was my wife's best friend and loved by all who came into contact with her. I couldn't agree with you more. It's what you do the best. I mean, you have helped countless people that have been on this podcast that have reached out to you. I mean, you have literally given your time, your emotion, your heart to so many people. That's a phenomenal quality to have. It just sometimes it's too much, for yourself. And that is literally the too much aspect is why I'm
the too much does definitely hurt ourselves sometimes, because
it does.
I don't know if a lot of people who don't have that quality really understand the depth of the care.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous. I mean, it is the fact that you will wake up thinking about this person, that person constantly, as if I take a break, if I do this, did that hurt them? Did that, like, by me not doing this, did that hurt? Like, did that, and that kills us, because we know it doesn't it? Like, it's horrible. It's like our biggest strengths are also our biggest weaknesses, and our biggest weaknesses are also our biggest strengths. It's this cycle of impossibleness that
it's like, here's ADHD, this is your sword. It is double-edged.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Like,
nobody's like, here's how to use it.
Right, exactly. Because no one can tell you how to use your own sword. Like,
no, and honestly, there are so many times where, like, we've done well or accomplished, and somebody's like, oh, how'd you do that? Literally no fucking idea.
Right.
No idea. But then, like, you screw something up, how did you do that? I'm like, well, let me look at every single thing I did, and you could be like, I did this right, I did that right, and this, like, I was prepared, and I had all the variables thought about, but somehow I still fucked up. And of course, there are times when you see exactly where you fucked up.
Yeah.
But then there are like, so it's like some of the time it's kind of inexplainable, like, why did this work? Why did this not work? When I don't know.
It's
I
funny.
think a lot of it is like when we get in our heads too much, that's when it tends to not work, because that's when we aren't listening to our instincts
served us for
that have served us. Yeah.
right,
Now, and I'm not saying like, oh, never listen to anyone or never think about stuff before you do it.
right.
Obviously that's chaotic, but when you get too set on this is the plan somebody else had set, so this is how I need to do it, and if it's like if it's just not computing,
Right.
then you need to kind of say, all right, well, where in this plan do I change a step or do it differently because that's what feels right to me. There's like two brains. There's like the brain and there's the ADHD brain. Like, and I always picture like the ADHD brain is like the vehicle and is always trying to like be in the driver's seat
Right.
of like your other brain, your conscious brain and everything. And it's like sometimes it just fucking takes the wheel and it's so I mean I could see if it's something like that. Like I don't realize that my ADHD brain is doing that because my like brain that I think with and everything doesn't get the message. I don't know.
And that's what makes, like, the first time I ever spoke with you when you were in the hotel room at the beach with, I think your sister, and you said, basically you said, I am Terri motherfucking Shubilla, and then followed it up with, I am good at vision. I am good at overall vision, how to put things into place. That's leadership. And that's what I think, in my opinion, you're phenomenal at, is how good of a leader you are. Because so many people come to you with their problems, needing advice, this and that. They wouldn't do that if you weren't a good leader. Like, I'm sorry, like they just wouldn't.
I appreciate that.
And so last question before we close this out is, pick a time in your life that you were the most resilient, and did you choose to be resilient, or did it just happen? It can be anything you want, any situation at all.
There's a lot to pick from.
That's automatically the best answer yet.
I'm gonna go with right now. In my life, I have a lot going on, a lot of changes, and I'm at a point in my life where I'm being more intentional about what I choose going forward with everything so that I'm not just picking the easiest and most comfortable things. And I'm using a lot of resilience because I have so much like unconscious, throughout my life, things of you should do this, you should do that. Like
Right.
this is what you want to do if you want to be this type of person, that, whatever. And I'm taking my time to really check in with myself and take care of myself and, heal from things that I need to heal from and accepting the feelings that I get when they come up and trying to like, um, be the one who calms myself down, be the one who, takes care of myself when it comes to like if I'm in a low, to make sure I am eating, I am getting water, I am moving. And then also if I'm, high anxiety, making sure like I am kind of taking a moment to do my breathing practices and like talk to myself so that I really I've always been able to rely on myself, but I guess I'm picking my coping mechanisms now so that they're healthy ones instead of unhealthy ones.
It is time once again to recognize the biggest supporters of this podcast. Without you, there is no chance that this happens. Thank you, Terri Shubilla, which, by the way, it's literally not possible in this episode because Terri Shubilla is the one that you are listening to right now on this show. I'd also like to thank Leo Guinan, Kirk Hofstrom, Casey Elliott, Sarah Delano, Justin Allingham, Blushing Crafter, Jamie Young, and Beth Jones. I love all of you so much. It's been amazing. I've been able to balance all this shit. That's a great comment. That is a great comment.
Throughout our lives, you know, we have just like naturally found whatever coping mechanism,
right,
and not even aware that that's what it was, and then they turn into habits and they turn into, you know, addictions or whatever. So I'm just really being patient with myself, which is very hard, because if I have a hard time with patience with myself is the hardest, because I just think
I have patience with other people. I have patience with other people.
Yeah, I'm not patient with myself.
Me, right. I'm like,
no.
What the fuck?
And you know, there are things like sometimes with other people, like depending on what it is, if it's like, oh my God, like just put your fucking shoes on already, or like,
right.
Why is this person like going so slow? Come on, like make the turn, or you know, stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm impatient with like myself and the world in general. No, but other people, no, absolutely not.
Yeah,
so that's kind of something I was thinking. You know how a lot of times people will be like, oh, I wish you could just see me through your, or I wish you could see yourself through my eyes, or something like. So like I think like when I'm down on myself for whatever reason, I'm like, oh well, you know, this one, that one, whatever, they say I'm kind, they say I'm caring, they say I'm fun, whatever. So like, why can't I see myself that way? And I'm like, the problem is whenever I like go to think about how other people view me, then it goes to how do other people view me, and like you know, focus on that. I'm like, no, I don't judge anyone the way that I think I'm being judged by others. So what I need to do is see myself through my eyes the way that I view everyone else, and not try to see myself through other people's eyes, because then that goes through that lens of, you know, you're making assumptions, you're mind reading, you're everything.
Right.
But if I'm viewing myself the way that I view other people, then that'll be a healthier, more compassionate and accurate. Like we have these crazy high expectations of ourselves.
Yeah, we do.
That we do not put on other people at all.
Yeah. I'd like to ask you one last thing. Is for anyone out there listening or watching, what is the number one thing that you can think of for people with ADHD that might help them in any way, shape, or form? Any way, shape, or form.
Make sure that you have time alone, and not just me time to like sit on the couch and watch TV or videos, or like time to really be with yourself and your own thoughts, and not constantly trying to distract yourself with like TikTok or social media, or you know, TV or books or whatever. Have some time to really check in with yourself. And I mean, I'm not going to prescribe a certain amount of time, a certain frequency or anything. I mean, I think if you could do it daily, that's perfect. But don't feel bad if you don't do it daily. Just kind of have that little bit of intentional time with yourself, because there's been a big thing that I've learned in the past year. And like when you say you're doing something by yourself, or if I'm like, oh, I'm by myself, or I spent the day by myself, I've really been switching that to with myself. So there may not be anybody else here, you know, but I'm not going to make it feel lonely, like I'm alone, by saying, oh, I just spent the night by myself. No, I spent the night with myself. What did I I was with myself and had a girls' night with myself. I'm just trying to think of random things off the top of my head, but like
That's
I had
beautiful.
dinner with myself. I enjoyed, going to a movie with myself, not by myself. And that kind of, we forget who we are to us so easily because we're so many things to so many people, and that's fantastic and that's great. But we really lose sight of what it is that we want, what we feel, and what we respect and what we need when we don't give ourselves just a few minutes each day just to check in with ourselves.
That's the best piece of advice I've ever heard.
That's pretty good. I just came up with
That was really fucking good. Terri, that was epic as shit. I don't think anyone has put it like that. Everyone says take care of yourself or spend time with yourself, but you put it in words. Huge surprise that everyone could actually understand. And that to me is a massive fucking advantage.